Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're comparing two sets that I literally cannot believe we're comparing in the year 2025. This is the original 2004 Spider-Man's Train Rescue and Spider-Man vs. Doc Ock's subway train scene from 2025, which I found early at Target. Now, these two sets are absolutely amazing. The original is much more of a playset, whereas the new one is a little bit more of somewhere in between. I don't know if it's a playset or a display set. It's kind of in between, but I just can't believe that I've gotten to live through the era of both of these sets coming out. I got this set in 2004 when I was a kid, and of course the box you're looking at is actually a sealed copy that Sam Raimi autographed for me a couple years ago. He was so awesome, and this is one of my prized possessions to have this set signed by Sam. Then, of course, the new one comes out August 1st here in the US for $55, and there's so much to break down between these two, so let's get right to it. If you're a Raimi Spider-Man fan, you have to check out my music video for The Girl Next Door, which is a song I wrote about the Raimi Spider-Man movies. I would love it if you check it out, and I'll drop a link in the description below where you can watch it. I filmed it where they filmed the movies, so you'll notice lots of cool Easter eggs. Spider-Man's Train Rescue came out in 2004 with 294 pieces and 4 minifigs, 3 of which were exclusive. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute, but this set retailed for $29.99 in 04. Adjusted for inflation, that would be about $51 today, and this actually sells for about $200 used on today's market. Interestingly enough, the new set has 393 pieces, also technically has 4 exclusive minifigs, about the same level of exclusivity as the previous set, and it retails for $55, so even adjusted for inflation, these two sets are actually not all that far off apart, which is so fascinating to me. So let's take a closer look at each of them and see how they rank up. So here we have the set in all of its 2004 glory. Of course, we got a Spider-Man 2 minifig here, a really great one at that, but this figure came in every single Spider-Man 2 Lego set with that great front and back printing, the reflective silver webbing, even printed on the hips, which was so cool, and we even got a really great print of the abs and everything. This figure was just so ahead of its time, even to have back of head printing in 2004. That was so unbelievably rare and so cool. So, when we talk about the figures being exclusive, it's so fascinating because with Doc Ock, as you can see, he has an angry face, and Doc Ock had a different head in every set from the 2004 sets. That being said, when we look at the back here, there is no printing on the back of the head. In today's modern Lego day, pretty much every figure has a front and back print to it if it can be hidden by the hair or a helmet or a hat or something. But of course, in this case, LEGO wasn't really doing a lot of back-of-head printing, as made evident with how rare it was to get on Spider-Man, so just the fact that Doc Ock has the gritted teeth angry face makes him exclusive. But this was such a cool figure. I mean, if you really break it down, look how, like, the divide between his pecs are pixelated. It's such a dated minifig, but it's dated in a good way, and I love this. And we'll take a look at it next to Doc Ock from his respective set in a moment, but I just want to kind of highlight each set on its own before we do comparisons. But here we have the train conductor, and he's not technically exclusive because this torso did come in other sets, as did the hat and the head, but this combination of pieces never appeared in another set, which makes him exclusive using air quotations. The same can be said for J. Jonah Jameson, and before anybody says it, yes, I know this is the wrong newspaper. This is the newspaper from the 2021 Daily Bugle. I do have the official Daily Bugle newspaper piece that came in this set, but I wasn't able to find it in my collection before filming this review, but it's here somewhere. I just, didn't want to prolong the video over one piece. But the same thing is true for Jameson. All of these pieces came in other figures and other sets, but this combination of them never appeared in another set, which made him exclusive. Now, onto the set itself. This was much more of a play set, as all LEGO sets were back in the day, except for, like, UCS Star Wars, but that's a separate conversation. Anyways, you had a slammer here, which had these rubber band pieces that when you push this down, it would move the train ahead. So the main play feature of the set is to actually slam your fist against this and have the train go down the track. You do have to slam it pretty hard and make sure the train is up against it, but it goes like this. See, it just flies off the rails. But even as a kid, this was never a super fluid play feature, but as you can see, it knocked over those kind of guard pieces here, so we'll give it another go, see how it goes. It hasn't gotten much better over the 21 years that I've owned it, but let's see. Yeah, see? But I guess that means that Spider-Man saves the day if the train doesn't really go through the webs. I'm just curious at this point, can I get it to go through the webs if there's no obstruction? Let's see. Well, looks like Spider-Man saves the day by the train not going through the webs, but it is pretty cool. Now, as we look over here, you can see that there's like an underpass for it to go through. We do have a web for Toby Man to swing in and save the day. And those webs, in theory, can push back, but they don't go the whole way through. So I guess there's really no way the train could get through, which is a cool thing for Toby to save the day. But if you move those webs to the side, that train is absolutely going all the way to Forest Hills. Speaking of which, this set had a surprising amount of stickers for 2004. We had 3 on each side, and then 1 on the front and the back of the train, although really, from the outside, you can't tell what the front or the back of the train is, and we had 3 seats on the inside, 1 for the conductor and 2 for passengers, and there was no way to, like, connect it with other trains. It wasn't really built with that in mind, but I always liked that it felt nice and cozy inside, and it really is emblematic of the time it was made, not really having a ton of room for play features, like these gaps in the windows, like that would never happen today, but it is very cool and a sign of the times for 2004. Just such a nice little build, the perfect blend between playset and display, if you could even call it that. But yeah, I love this set, and I think it's aged in a very nostalgic way without it being too dated. It's one of those ones that just looks so good and holds up so well, you can't help but love it. And for the 2025 train, it's much more of a display model than anything. Of course, as you can see, it fits the train tracks. So if you have train tracks in your city, this can actually fit on it. And I was saving it for this point of the video to show you that although it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, the train actually does fit on the tracks perfectly. How cool is that? I guess you need to really remove those for it to fit comfortably, but the train legitimately does fit on the tracks. I was blown away. I mean, Lego math would tell you that, but that's so crazy to bridge the gap 24 years later and put these together. That being said, there are 2 ways you can build the wheels. Well, yeah, I guess you would call it the wheels or the tracks or whatever. One has a pivot so it can turn on track, and the other one has it stationary so that if you just wanted to display this on your shelf, like let's say this is the only Lego set you're going to get, it makes sense to do the stationary ones because the moving wheels are a bit annoying. But there are little holes here, so if you got multiples, there's theoretically a way you could connect them. And there are holes on the side, too, for these J-hooks and for Spider-Man's webs to clip into the sides so that you can make it an action scene. Now, Spider-Man's webs are actually a little bit annoying because they always want to revert to a straight angle, so it doesn't take much force to knock Spider-Man off there, and then it really pushes him forward, and you kind of have to bend the webs in a certain position to keep them there. It's grown on me as I've had this for, well, I reviewed it yesterday when I got it, so I'm filming this the following day, so I've been living with it for not too terribly long, and it is growing on me, but, you know, those webs knocking Spider-Man off is definitely kind of annoying. But I do like that the back of Spider-Man's feet can clip into those pieces there, keeping him, you know, hugged straight to the front with that angry gritted teeth face, as you'd imagine, and Doc Ock can go conveniently on top. Speaking of on top, we can actually lift up these roof panels to see the interior, and the middle panel isn't meant to be taken out, but I'm going to take it out anyway so you can see a lot more of the detail. We have bench seats facing both ways and conductor seats at the front and the back. And at the back, you can see the conductor's controls are completely normal, but at the front, it's a little trickier to see. But as you can see, Doc Ock has reached his tentacle in and destroyed it, which is such a cool attention to detail, which I really, really love. But there's a lot to love about this set. I do think it's overpriced. I mean, 393 pieces for $55 and 4 minifigs. It's definitely overpriced for what's included here, but the minifigs are really, really great. So let's take a look at those closer up next. So here we go, guys, side by side, 24 years of Lego Spider-Man evolution. Think about this. This Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was technically the 3rd Spider-Man ever. There was a version of this in light blue from the first movie. Then we got Wrestler Spider-Man in 2003, and then this version in 2004. Then we wouldn't see Spider-Man again until Ultimate Spider-Man in 2012, and we've been getting him every year ever since then. This version, of course, is the Tobey suit, but with the rips on the front, which is so cool because it's our first battle-damaged Spider-Man we've ever gotten. Of course, we also have the mask there, and this mask is not accurate to the Raimi film, whereas the original one is much, much more accurate, but You know, I get it. They were just reusing the No Way Home set design because that's what they had. But overall, I really, really think both are great. Of course, they have different nostalgic charm for different reasons. Like, for example, the belt on the original one is printed into the hips of this, whereas on the minifigure from modern times, from the 2025 set, it's actually a part of the torso and the hips are just dark blue. So, different aesthetics, different times, but both are really great. And, of course, the 2025 one also comes with a Peter Parker unmasked head, and I think that this one is absolutely awesome with those gritted teeth from him trying to stop the train. I think that that looks a lot like Toby, actually, and we can flip that head around for the happy face on this side, which is really great as well. Just such a phenomenal minifig and so cool all these years later. Now, Doc Ock is a little trickier to compare because he takes up a lot of real estate with those giant robotic arms, but these two figures are incredibly different. I mean, think about the 24 years of evolution of LEGO minifigs in general, but just Doc Ock, how many have come out between that time? One thing that really annoys me is the 2025 version has that brown jacket. It is very clearly like a dark olive green in the movie. I don't understand how they got that so wrong, but they got it so right here, where it's green on the outside, and then you can see the brown trim from his undercoat. It just looks so much better on the original, even though the design of the original is kind of pixelated. You know, I think being able to see the mechanical belt around his stomach there, I just think the original minifigure is superior in terms of movie accuracy in every single way. That doesn't mean the new one doesn't have its own charm, but I think even the hair on the original one is a little bit of a better standout. The glasses look a little better. This is a very, very rare case where I almost definitively would say the minifigure portion of it is infinitely better on the first one than the second one. That doesn't happen very often in these comparisons. Usually I'm just like, oh, the old one has its own nostalgic charm, but in this case, honestly, all nostalgia aside, I legitimately do think I like the original better. The new one, of course, uses that No Way Home head underneath, with the angry face on one side and the big grin on the other. The hair, it's not a horrible hairpiece, I just don't think that it works perfect for Doc Ock. And then, of course, with the arms, I do have to say, I think this is probably my favorite Doc Ock arm construction we've ever gotten. And to move that aside, if you take these red studs out of the bottom, you can actually position Doc Ock to be able to hold himself up with the weight of his own arms because those feet are flat on the bottom, which is so incredibly cool for mock building, play, display. It just looks so great. So, yeah, arm-wise, I think this is my favorite Doc Ock arm build we've ever gotten, although I like the minifigure portion of the original so much better. Now we'll compare the train conductor with Aunt May, because they actually have more in common than you'd think, in the sense that they're both made up of parts from other sets. Although I'm almost certain Aunt May's head is new here. If we play out the clock, I'm sure that head will get used on somebody somewhere else in the future, just because LEGO always reuses parts. But the torso appeared in LEGO City, the hair, the legs have been in other places, and the same is true for the original train conductor. All of those pieces appeared on other figures and other sets, so the only thing exclusive about these two are the fact that it's this combination of pieces being offered in one set together. Both are nice figures. I do think the train conductor makes a lot more sense logically, but it is nice to get Aunt May because we haven't had her from the Raimi films since 2004 in another set, the Doc Ock bank robbery, so it is cool to get her again after all this time. And then we have J. Jonah Jameson, who, just like the figures before, actually is comprised of pieces that came in other sets. So, like, this is the Michael Scott torso. It was used on Professor X. This head was used on one Harry Potter character. And, of course, this head was used on the German mechanic from Indiana Jones. The torso was in lots of places. And what would have been cool with the new one is if this piece actually came with this minifigure. I think that would have been so cool, because this piece is still in production, thanks to the Daily Bugle still being in production. So it would have made a lot of sense, and to kind of pay homage to the original if we had gotten this newspaper in this set, but alas, we did not. Anyways, the figures are pretty basic, no like real significant printing on the back of the torsos or even the heads. I think both do a great job of representing J. Jonah Jameson in the time that they were created, but neither are real standout minifigs, considering, you know, all the pieces came in other places. Since it's not every day I get to revisit this box, I think it'd be cool to take a look at. You know, it's got that old early 2000s packaging. It actually has a clearance sticker on it too, which is crazy. That clearance sticker is from Target, and yeah, this is just such a cool set. Just to look at the branding of the box and how everything was laid out, so so incredibly cool. We even have one of the alt builds on the back. If you don't know, LEGO used to really put the alt builds front and center there, and this set is unbelievably awesome. So rare to find sealed, and even more rare with Sam Raimi's autograph. He was so unbelievably nice when I met him, and that was truly a lifelong dream come true to shake his hand and let him know how much his movies truly meant to me growing up. Well, guys, as we get to the end of the video here, I want to say thank you so much for watching this. You know, these Raimi Spider-Man films truly mean the world to me, and they helped shape me into who I am today. And along with that, the LEGO sets were such a big part of my childhood, and it's so cool to be able to talk about it all these years later and do the video that we just did today. So thanks for hanging out for that. And I don't really know that there's a way you could say one of these is better than the other. They're from two completely different eras, serving two completely different purposes, and to some extent serving different audiences. But at the end of the day, both are such great celebrations of one of the best superhero movies of all time, and certainly one of the most iconic scenes from any superhero movie ever. So let me know if you had both of these. If there's one that you do like better than the other, let me know that too. I love both for their own reasons, and I'm really excited to have both in the collection now.